A sense of the other issues that Joe Biden touched upon as a part of his maiden UN General Assembly address, promising relentless diplomacy. The U.S. president mapped out a new era of vigorous competition with new commitments to cope with climate change and the COVID-19 crisis. In his debut UNGA address, Joe Biden says the U.S. was back at the table in international forums. Biden added that the world is facing a decisive decade, addressing a variety of issues like the pandemic, climate change, and cyber threats.
We're back at the table in international forums, especially the United Nations, to focus attention and to spur global action on shared challenges. We are re-engaged at the World Health Organization and working in close partnership with COVAX to deliver life-saving vaccines around the world. We rejoined the Paris Climate Agreement, and we're running to retake a seat in the Human Rights Council next year at the UN. And as the United States seeks to rally the world to action, we will lead not just with the example of our power, but, God willing, with the power of our example.
The president also appealed to UNGA delegates for action on climate change, saying that the current situation is a code red for humanity. Biden added that the world is fast approaching a point of no return with regards to extreme weather events that are taking lives and costing billions of dollars.
In April, I announced the United States will double our public international financing to help developing nations tackle the climate crisis. And today, I'm proud to announce that we'll work with the Congress to double that number again, including for adaptation efforts. This will make the United States a leader in public climate finance.
Going back across to our correspondent, Susan Tehrani. Susan, Joe Biden has pledged to double the USA to fight climate change. But let's just also talk about whether or not Joe Biden's claims of being a leader when it comes to fighting climate change do indeed hold any water when it comes to the fight against the climate crisis. America has absolutely not done a splendid job.
Yeah, that's one aspect of it, and then another aspect of it is it's really having a lot of problems here at the United Nations to create enthusiasm and support to really reach its climate agenda at the end of this conference, something that Antonio Guterres and member states here have made a cornerstone of UNGA 76. And one of those reasons is because of the adversary that it has with China. So whether or not, the United States, first of all, it's not meeting its climate requirements on the one hand, but then whether or not it's going to come out with some sort of even framework or agreement at the end of this meeting is also yet to be seen. But I do want to allude, because you played that soundbite of him sort of saying that, we're back at the table at the UN. He talked about re-engaging at the WHO and rejoining the Paris Climate Agreement. Those were really stabs at his predecessor, Donald Trump, for sort of taking a back seat from the United Nations and pulling the U.S. out of these accords. But as you mentioned, simply joining the Paris Accord or coming back at the UN for skeptics may not be enough for Joe Biden to say that just because he's not Trump and rejoins these efforts, really those benchmarks on climate and other issues will be met.
Susan Tehrani, leaving it there for the moment. Thanks very much for those updates for now. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.